Evolution is the fundamental idea in all of life science, in all of biology.
Really? Because that's funny. I thought the foundational idea of life science was that there is a difference between things that are, say, dead or maybe not alive, like, you know, rocks and stuff, and those things that are alive. That is, the foundational idea of life science is that there's this thing called life and that it's not dead. And I hate to break it to you, but evolution, the theory that life existence has come into being through variation of the species over the course of billions of years, for all of its fluster and flare, still hasn't quite explained life. Hey, Internet.
Yes.
So there's this guy named Bill Nye the Science Guy, who many people know and love because of his kind-hearted and gentle, humorous way with which he imparted afternoons of scientific learning, Matrix-style download of information to the brains of youths and children across the, well, at least the American television frontier or something like that. But anyway, people really like this guy, right? And so recently he comes out with this video on something called Big Think, which I don't quite know much about Big Think. My guess is that it's not like the biggest fan of Christianity ever, but that's just my hunch based on this one little video. But he comes out with this video and he says a few things that, well, they're a little bit shocking. They're not quite what you would expect from a nice old man. Just the manner in which he presents things, it's a little weird. And I just couldn't let this opportunity pass without kind of at least calling into question the inanity of this particular video. Now, I get it. You want to believe in evolution? Okay, that's a whole different world from the inanity of this attempt at logical thinking.
Denial of evolution is unique to the United States.
All right off the bat, he makes this nice big assertion. Okay, so the only people in the entire world that do not believe in evolution are those who live in the United States, probably implied particularly fundamentalist Christians, but this would imply some Roman Catholics and, you know, Lutherans like me. We're the only ones in the whole world. Nobody else does. Like not the Christians in Africa or the Christians in Asia or, you know, the Muslims. Nobody. No, everyone else is just full-on macroevolutionary Darwinians. Right? I mean, prove that one, buddy, because that's just off the charts weird kind of comment.
Denial of evolution is unique to the United States. I mean, we are the world's most advanced technological, so, I mean, you could say Japan, but generally the United States is where most of the innovation still happens.
I know this is kind of interesting. So this is supposed to prove your point? So you're going to claim, wrongly, that the only place where people still believe in creation is the US, and then to prove how that's bad, you're going to say that we're the most advanced civilization on the planet. I mean, am I missing something? I'm just talking logic here, right? Am I missing something?
Denial of evolution is unique to the United States. I mean, we are the world's most advanced technological, so, I mean, you could say Japan, but generally, the United States is where most of the innovation still happens. People still move to the United States. And that's largely because of the intellectual capital we have, the general understanding of science.
Which came from what? Was it atheists who invented the study of scientia? French or Old Latin, the pursuit of knowledge? I always thought, you know, they were monks in monasteries who started asking questions about the universe, believing in a God of order who created order, that because there would be order, you could observe it and say, hey, look, it's ordered and it always works this way. So we've got this capital we're living on that you're talking about. And, you know, I'm not going to say that atheists can't be scientists and study the material world. I would hardly go so far as to say that, but to claim that somehow Christians haven't ever been involved in this development of the society that we're in right now, like Western civilization, I mean, this is just beyond ignorant. I don't know how you can say this with a straight face.
When you have a portion of the population that doesn't believe in that, it holds everybody back. Really.
Back from what? Like killing more humans to experiment on and stuff? I mean, really? Because again, the point kind of remains. Where'd the hospitals come from in the first place? Where did medicinal studies come from in the first place? Now, to be sure, there have been pagan groups, ancient Greeks, they studied medicine and science too. So it's not like Christians just were the only ones doing this. But don't pretend for a minute that the state of civilization in the United States right now has not been influenced, impacted, and pressed forward by the Christian worldview that believes in an order that can be studied and used for the sake of helping the neighbor in mercy. Really, seriously. I mean, this is like the height of arrogance, these comments. And we're like 10 seconds into this thing. Hold on to your hats.
Evolution is the fundamental idea in all of life science, in all of biology. It's very much analogous to trying to do geology without believing in tectonic plates.
See, no, it's not analogous to that at all. Geology is to tectonic plates as biology is to bunny rabbits.
you're with me, oh boy. Want the world to see that you.
You know, not ideas, not explanations, but actual stuff you can touch. Now, you can apply evolution to tectonic plates, or you could apply something like flood theory to tectonic plates. I don't even want to go there. That's not my point. My point is, your comment is utterly inane. It's illogical. Really, trying to do biology without evolution is not like trying to do geology without belief. You don't have to believe in tectonic plates. You look at them. My goodness. Really.
You're just not going to get the right answer. Your whole world is just going to be a mystery.
Absolutely. You're so right on. Chemistry is just totally closed to me. I can't begin to understand atoms and how they work or how one chemical works with another because I don't believe in evolution. Biochemistry, as this chemistry impacts the way, say, the body works. I mean, Christians just can't be doctors since they don't believe in evolution. They can't set a splint. They can't look at an x-ray. They can't prescribe medicine, or at least if they do, they're just going to ruin everyone's lives. You just can't even begin to do science without a belief in evolution. It's obvious. I mean, duh.
Your whole world is just going to be a mystery instead of an exciting place.
Again, I mean, hey, atheists who's going to like comment down there and be like all angry, oh, you don't believe in evolution, you're such a moron. Well, I mean, just hear me out here, right? I'm not talking about evolution at this point. I'm talking about the lack of logic in this argument. It just baffles my mind that anyone trying to present any point about which there is a massive conflict in civilization with as much credence as this guy's got could actually make this bad of an argument. There's a better argument than saying, you Christians just have to be idiots once you don't believe this and all the world's a mystery to you now. I mean, have you had a conversation with anyone ever?
As my old professor Carl Sagan said, when you're in love, you want to tell the world. So once in a while, I get people that claim they don't believe in evolution.
Now, I'm not sure what the whole Carl Sagan in the love want to tell the world thing, whether it's Bill Nye wants to tell the world about evolution or he's trying to like give Christians and creation as some sort of like pass for at least letting their emotions get the better of them or something. I don't know. But I love the fact that they claim to not believe in evolution. So now I don't even have the ability to like be the idiot you've accused me of being. Somehow my smartness that doesn't exist re-exists and is behind itself, and I'm covering it with the claim that I don't believe in evolution.
And my response generally is, why not? Really, why not?
And my response generally is death didn't exist in our world, according to Jesus, who did defeat death by rising from the dead, which can again be historically proven if you trust history in any way, shape, or form. It's like it's a verifiable, rational explanation for the events of the first century. He said that this whole death thing is a curse that was brought about by our destruction of God's world, which existed before the death came. That would be why. Evolution, you need death to make it happen. To explain how man exists with evolution, you need death leading up to man. But see, this guy who beat death, he actually says that death came as a result of man. So that just as the first Adam died, and so in him all died, including the whole creation, just entered a phase of death, so also in this next man who beat death, all will be made alive, including the creation that now groans with eager expectation, longing for the sons of God to be revealed. That would be more or less why I'm just not going to just buy into this little kind of hat trick, throw it out there. Life's a mystery to you, and you're an idiot if you don't think what I say is true, right? I'm just talking this argument. There's no argument. This is like expensive. Someone spent money on this.
Your world just becomes fantastically complicated when you don't believe in evolution.
Yep, I have so much trouble making coffee in the morning. I can't understand how the beans become water because God had to create them in existence as coffee because only evolution could explain how the water going through the beans makes it coffee. And since I don't believe in that, I can't believe in the coffee. And it just, the whole day is like that. Life's just fantastically complicated for me. You wouldn't believe how hard it is to maintain the charade of claiming to believe in creation.
I mean, here are these ancient dinosaur bones or fossils.
I love it. It's just great. It's like it's just got to be really hard to not believe in evolution because of dinosaurs. Because there's bones in the ground and they're extinct now.
Inconceivable!
But really, yeah. Okay, so there's plenty of explanations for dinosaurs. I mean, you can believe that they died in the flood. You can believe they died as part of the cataclysmic fall in the first place. You can believe they died after the flood, and we just have no record of them. It's not fantastically complicated, especially when you're talking about like general life science. I mean, the dinosaurs, they're not that important to general life science. You don't need dinosaurs to do medicine. You need them for like petroleum to like run your car, but...
Here is radioactivity.
Nice. Yes, that's right. The atom's ability to be an atom is inexplicable and destroys my existence as a normal human being from understanding anything because I don't believe that it evolved. Oh, maybe he's referencing carbon dating.
I don't think it means what you think it means.
Oh, that one's fun.
Here are distant stars that are just like our star, but that are at a different point in their life cycle.
Love it. Oh, wait. This is the biologist saying that the stars are alive, right? I get it. Like, life cycle is the way that you talk about the star's existence from its quote-unquote birth as it's just basically formed out of gaseous masses until it burns itself out. In the context of what we're talking about here, life sciences being, only understandable, it's kind of just an ironic little thing to say. The fact is, having stars that, are more burned out than other stars is in no way a proof against creation. I've never been able to wrap my head around this one, that the atheist can't believe that God created a tree that has tree rings in it, right? That God created a star that's halfway burned. Well, why not? That when God created the stars making light, somehow that light could only start there. He couldn't also just make light where Earth is from the star. I mean, if God's almighty and he's going to do something, who are we to say what he did? I mean, how about we see the stars in midway burned out points and we say, that must have been created midway burned out. Yes, fascinating that. But no, it's proof for evolution. It's not proof. That's the whole thing. It's not proof. It's not proof.
The idea of deep time, of billions of years,
The idea
explains so much of the world around us. If you try to ignore that, your worldview just becomes crazy. It just untenable, self-inconsistent.
No, seriously, the flood pretty much explains most of it too, if you'd give it a chance. Now I get it, you don't want to, creationists aren't really scientists, that's fine. But again, it's the lack of reason in the argument that is the issue here. He's not actually making arguments. Can you see that? There's not been an argument yet. There's been a bunch of assertions, and he throws out these giant ideas that somehow magically prove stuff. There's no reasoned connecting of the dots.
And I say to the grown-ups, if you want to deny evolution and live in your world that's completely inconsistent with everything we observe in the universe, that's fine.
I mean, self-inconsistent? Sorry. Christianity is pretty dang consistent. It explains just about everything very well. I mean, especially if you understand the cataclysm, the fall, the breaking of the world, and how that explains most of what we see in terms of decay and age and all this kind of stuff. The flood and so forth, explaining what we see in terms of fossils and rivers. Just not that tough, really.
And I say to the grown-ups, if you want to live in your world that's completely inconsistent, that's fine.
This is my favorite part coming up right here.
But don't make your kids do it, because we need them. We need scientifically literate voters and taxpayers for the future. We need people that can, we need engineers that can build stuff, solve problems.
Because if you don't believe in evolution as the explanation of everything, you can't build bridges that stay standing. And you can't pay taxes either.
It's just really hard thing. It's really a hard thing.
What's really hard is to follow the logic of his argument.
In another couple centuries, that worldview, I'm sure, it just won't exist. I mean, there's no evidence for it. So.
No evidence, none, not a bit, because all those manuscripts from the first century, just ignore those entirely, including the one which says that argument he just made, that this thing won't be around a generation from now. There was this guy named Gamaliel, famous teacher amongst the Pharisees, and when the Pharisees were all up in arms because the worldview of Christianity was untenable, according to their way of looking at the world, he said, this sucker's gonna pass. You know how often that's been said? 100 years ago, it was just all over the place. Oh, Christianity, no more than 100 years left. Guess what's gone? All that liberal scholarship that was used to prove Christianity to be untenable history, gone. In fact, archaeology and stable historical research based on actual evidence as opposed to just assertions and ideas that were being thrown out 100 years ago, that stuff overturned all of these classic points of view, at least for those who are willing to go look at them and understand them in a fairly reasonable way. So all I'm saying here is it's just the arrogance of this is rather profound. How many times is the world going to say, oh, Christianity, it's dead, it'll be dead soon. It's not going to die. You know why? Jesus Christ has risen from the dead, and again, don't want to pick a fight, but it's just like you picked a fight, and the logic is so lacking. I can respect an atheist that can at least admit to me that my worldview is a rational explanation of what I observe. It does make linear sense, far more so than most of the arguments that we just listened to. It does have evidence and or facts for it. You don't have to conclude that those evidence and facts mean what the Christian concludes they mean, but until you can at least like admit that these things really exist in history as facts and proof, that there really was this church, this gathering of people that developed out of Judaism, and you need to explain how that happened, and the fact that they all believed they saw Jesus risen from the dead and they wrote it down and it's all in the first century, you can't deny that. I mean, it's factual. It existed. So I can respect the atheist that goes that far, but this is pathetic. If this is the state of intellectual prowess that we've brought ourselves to, you can pretty much kiss all your leader of the world stuff you started with goodbye within 100 years. So just for fun, I also glanced down in the comments underneath this, and the highest comment that had gotten like 3 or 4 likes on it at the time was sitting there. Here's what it says in an argument against some other Christian who was, trying to defend his belief system and so forth. This person writes, "Really? You are the type that should not be raising children. Someday it will be considered abuse to subject your kids to such nonsense and ignorant thinkings like religion. Or maybe people like you just won't be allowed to reproduce. Laugh out loud." Now, I'm just kind of like overwhelmed by the gentle spirit, the kindness, the civilized approach that this person is taking to discussion and debating ideas. And then his civilized answer of, well, let's neuter the people that disagree with us. So I wrote back, "Love the tolerance. Perhaps you should just gas us while you're at it." Because I kind of thought that if there's anything that in our culture we would still be like, oh no, we won't do that because that's like Hitler. I mean, that's like evil. It's so evil. Who on earth could even like laugh at that or make a joke about it? It would be submitting people to, say, a gas chamber. Oh, but woe is me. I forgot about the bankruptcy of secular culture and just how bad it's getting. Because this guy then wrote back, "If you are," and this is the second time he spelled "you're" without the E on the end, which means it's not a typo this time, yeah? "If you're a delusional God freak, yeah, maybe you should be gassed." So there you go, Bill Nye. Those are your fans. I'm out of time. Hope you enjoyed at least like the frustration of trying to be a rational human being and talk to the irrationality of those who refuse to believe what is obvious, which is that there is a God. Not to mention what is fairly provable.
Rainbow's on fire!
Which is that Jesus Christ is his son who rose from the dead for you. Glad you believe it. Catch you next time.
I say to the grown-ups, if you want to deny evolution and live in your world that's completely inconsistent with everything we observe in the universe, but don't make your kids do it, because we need them. We need scientifically literate voters and taxpayers. We need engineers that can build stuff, solve problems.
Inconceivable!